Telling you right now, this is going to change very rapidly. Some of these suburbs have already changed, as I mentioned previously. And the reason for that is because the market is moving significantly. So I'll start with the first under 650K, and the suburb I want to mention is Breakwater. Now, Breakwater is a very unknown and quite small suburb. It looks like this. So this is actually a photo out of my phone when I was there a few months ago. I go there regularly, but I mean, this is literally only a few months ago. So this is literally out the pocket, a good pocket of Breakwater, on a particular crescent that I like buying on. I actually have a couple of clients that now own on this crescent, funny enough, because again, as I said to you, I buy in areas that work. I don't really give a shit what anyone says. I just buy what works. Now, Breakwater is a very unknown suburb. As you can see, I mean, it's a very quiet family suburb. So it's really, really nice. And it's only about 3.5 to 4K away from, should I say, Geelong CBD. It's literally a 5 to 7 minute drive up the road in the middle of Geelong. It's very, very close to Geelong CBD. So as I said, it's a quiet family suburb in an unbelievable location. So this is where Breakwater is. Really what you need to know is the Breakwater areas you want to buy are sort of around that sort of race course, that kind of area. So you can see the residential areas there. The race course, it's funny enough, the race course at the moment in Breakwater, it's probably, if your house is close or on the race course, it's probably an indifferent thing. It probably doesn't make too much of a difference there, simply because it only runs a couple, generally on the Saturday, maybe another day of the week. But if you look at somewhere like Randwick in Sydney, the houses that are actually close to the racecourse go for significantly more money because people see it as a thing to do. Now, that isn't the case in Geelong at the moment, but when Geelong's like 1.2 to 1.5 million bucks, it'll be probably seen as that. So don't be fooled. At the moment, it's probably indifferent, but in the future, it may even be a selling factor, believe it or not, to these areas around Breakwater. But I mean, the location is incredible. Like it is, most people don't even know Breakwater, mind you, but it is such a good suburb. And mind you, when I say this is a changing kind of thing that's going on, I'm fully expecting Breakwater, without a question of a doubt, to easily, in my opinion, break $700,000. Should I say next year? It will break it for sure. Now, just a suggestion for everyone that's looking at these areas, don't look at realestate.com.au or Domain because the data is extremely slow. Because if you look at that, you're never going to buy there because there's not a single thing available for that. If you want to look at something that's more accurate, my suggestion would be look at Mapping the Market on CoreLogic. That is a free service. Sorry, it's Cotality now. That is a free service. And what you'll see is Breakwater, as of this video being made, was 664,000 the median. Thompson's over, I think it's 709 from memory. So these suburbs are more than $100,000 different from real estate because it's moved so much in recency. Look, CoreLogic or Cotality is relevant to 3 months. Real estate's 12, so is Domain. So the issue is when a market turns, it turns quite quickly, and you won't find anything for the prices they're quoting in there anymore. They just don't exist. I hate to tell you that. They don't exist. So look at Mapping the Market. That's the real median at the moment. Just keep that in mind because you won't because you might find an absolute thing that's falling over that might be that price and you have to spend $150,000 to fix it or maybe $500 to rebuild it. But something that's livable in the property that I would want to buy is not achievable for that anymore. It's relevant to Mapping the Market on CoreLogic. So again, everyone check that out before you go looking at prices for these suburbs because that is most relevant at the moment. Let's get into under 700,000. And the suburb I'll mention is close by, and that is Newcomb. Now, look, Newcomb, you have a lot of homes that look similar to this. There's a lot of brick veneer and tile homes on stumps or slabs. You also have a good weatherboard homes. A lot of them are on 500 meters squared or so and above. Just something to be aware of in Newcomb as well is Newcomb does have quite a few areas that are prone to overland flow. So overland flow, it's not flooding, just to keep everyone in mind, like, should I say, you might have in Brisbane, like Rockley, where the house can literally be underwater. What it is it's generally 15 centimeters or less of puddling water that can happen because it is a little bit more low lying. I mean, if it touches the boundaries of your property, I probably wouldn't worry too much. But if it's entirely in a massive, should I say, flood zone, then yeah, I probably wouldn't buy it. So it's just something to be aware of Newcomb. But look, at the moment, a lot of the good deals in Newcomb are going for the mid 600s. I mean, I was tempted to put it under 650, but I mean, under 700 still fine. It's still a good deal at under 700. Again, by this time next year, I'm fully expecting this to be over $700,000. Because everything under 700K in Geelong at the moment just has lines of people out the door. I mean, it is literally, like a stampede. There's generally at least 15 people coming through at every open home. So I've seen 30 before as well recently. So it's just getting bittered out of control, a lot of these markets. So, I mean, just something to keep in mind with this area. But a thing about Newcomb that's really good is, look, it has great schools. So you'll see here just all the different schools in Newcomb. So you can see, obviously, Christ the King Catholic, Newcomb Primary, Newcomb Pre, Newcomb Secondary, Keilor Kindergarten, the Hive Early Learning. There's every school under the sun that you need here. I mean, Geelong High School is in East Geelong as well, which it neighbours. And East Geelong, in my opinion, is probably, I'd say, the most, I'd say, in-demand and favourable area to live consistently in Geelong. The Golden Triangle, which literally neighbours some parts of Newcomb, I mean, I'd argue that's probably the best place in all of Geelong to live as well. Newcomb, if you talk to a Geelong local, he'd say it's just a standard, not a wealthy area, just a lower income area. And that is true historically, but this is changing quickly because, again, you hop on literally the Bellarine Highway or just up McKillop Street or anything like that, and you're in Geelong CBD in about 5 to 7 minutes, depending on where in the suburb you are. So Newcomb is extremely close to the CBD. It's a great area to buy, and I mean, I expect this fully to break that 700K mark again by this time next year. The data, look on CoreLogic mapping the market because, again, most suburbs are going to lag. It's just how it works, so just keep that in mind. But Newcomb, again, just to make sure you know where you're buying. I mean, I had a client who bought here in the low 500s on a corner lot, believe it or not, earlier this year. And, I mean, that's probably worth circa $100,000 more than when he bought it easily. Good thing about those clients, though, was that they, as a husband and wife, they genuinely took advice and actually bought when they needed to buy when the opportunity came. They just went for it and had a crack. Not many people do that. I'll just tell you that right now. That's the way you kind of need to operate if you want good deals. But in areas like Newcomb, I mean, this is going to go up. You need to take the deal if the good deal comes. Don't let it, should I say, sit on market for a couple of weeks because it'll just go up probably $30,000 to $50,000 if you do so. So that's my pick under 700K at the moment. Look, I wanted to have a different one under 750K, but I mean, this one I was previously saying under 700K, but I don't know if the right deal still exists under 700K, and that is North Geelong. Believe it or not, I actually had a client very recently of mine who purchased in the sixes, but I don't know if the right deal will still become applicable at that point, at any point in time with that in the near future, should I say? And it's simply because this market is moving and it is a very good market to buy. And a lot of homes look like this. You've got both brick, veneer and tile and good old period Victorian, Edwardian sort of style homes as well. Quite well maintained, a lot of them. You do get ones you can do reno flips on as well. But that's very common in North Geelong. I mean, it's an area that, was very much so a part of a developing region of Geelong. It does surround, should I say, the original industrial and port part of Geelong. Really, the thing about North Geelong, though, is it's surrounded by much more expensive suburbs. So you can see North Geelong there, Drumcondra, Rippleside, which is a part of just the normal map streets that aren't shaded in. Then all the suburbs around it, pretty much, especially in the southern part. Clearly you've got Hamlin Heights, Herne Hill, Manifold Heights, Geelong West. They're all, I'd say, middle to upper middle class suburbs now in Geelong in terms of the city. And North Geelong neighbours them. It's very well located. It's one of those areas you can see it genuinely continuing to gentrify and becoming, I'd say, middle-class suburb. I'd call it probably a working to middle class, but it'll become a middle-class suburb of Geelong very quickly. I mean, you're close to a lot of good employment as well there. You're close to a lot of good areas too. I mean, you go straight down the road, you're in Packington Street, which is the place to be. In Geelong, you cross literally the rail line and Melbourne Road. You're in Drumcondra and Rippleside and the waterfront precinct there as well. So it's an area where, I mean, as I said to everyone in this, as I'm saying, everyone, sorry, you can see it doing very well over the long term. Look, on mapping the market at the moment, it is about $712,000 to $715,000. So that's realistic. I think like your days of sub 650 and sub 700 for the right dwelling are probably over. This again, as I said to you, this is just what happens when the market moves up. So don't hate the player, hate the game. That's all I'd say. So that's, look, my pick under 750,000, still a very good buy. That is North Geelong. Look, again, I've previously mentioned this suburb, I'll mention it again, but previously I said it would be sub 800k, and now I don't think that's achievable anymore for the right property in the suburb anymore. Again, I did mention that I had clients buying in the best part of the suburb for sub 800 recently, but that won't happen anymore. There's properties literally in the same area that are going for, I mean, no kidding, over $1 million now, and it's just what happens when the market moves. But the suburb I want to mention is Geelong West. So, I mean, this is just Packington Street here of Geelong West. Like, you'd almost think this is somewhere in Melbourne, like, by just looking at it. I mean, this is just an overhead. I mean, shops everywhere, people everywhere, cafes, restaurants. I mean, very common. This isn't even on a nice sunny day, so you can see obviously it's a bit dim. So, I mean, this is the area that everyone wants to be. Everyone wants to, do things. Think of it similar to like probably your Centre Road in Bentley East, probably Lygon Street in Carlton. I mean, maybe you could say Yarraville Town Centre or somewhere like that too. It's a very, very good location to buy. I mean, I can't think of a much better location. And why it's such a good location to buy is because it's just had incredible gentrification. Like, Geelong West, funny enough, used to be a suburb of, the parts near Newtown were wealthy, don't get me wrong, but most of the village part of the suburb, which is the area I like buying, was mainly your miners' cottages, Edwardian Victorian cottages. They're very common, your period kind of homes in, these areas. So you had a lot of working class people living there, but now the income's gone up incredibly. So if you go from bottom to top, that's 2006 and the top's 2021 census data. I mean, the household income has literally like nearly doubled. That ratio of mortgage repayment, income to mortgage repayments has gone down. This is 2021. I can tell you right now, it's gentrified significantly since then. I expect that number of the weekly median household income to be above 2,000 at the time of the next census. So from memory, it's every 5 years. So that will be, should I say, next year. So that's kind of what's going on. And I'd call Geelong West a middle-class suburb at the moment to upper middle. I'd call it an upper middle-class suburb by the time this is done. So that's kind of what's going on there in Geelong West. I mean, it's probably still one of my favourite areas to buy. Certainly under 850k. I can't think of a much better place to buy at the moment. East Geelong's another one, but probably Geelong West at the moment. East Geelong is starting to move up quite a bit, and the areas I want to buy are moving definitely. So anyway, that's Geelong West under 850k. Now, previously for any budget, I was saying, you'd want to buy it probably in East Geelong. And East Geelong's still a great buy, don't get me wrong, but there's actually another suburb for any budget that I think is possibly one of the better buys at the moment, and that suburb is Newtown. So Newtown in Geelong is really kind of like, it is by far your most expensive suburb of Geelong. The comparables are probably Drumcondra, Rippleside, and some parts of the waterfront of Geelong, I'd say in East Geelong. But in terms of a median house, Newtown is the most expensive suburb in Geelong, and it looks like this. So there's a lot of parts that do have homes on tennis courts and, great backyards and all that kind of thing that do sometimes sell for well over $2 million. The thing about really Newtown is it's generally the upper middle class to upper class suburb of Geelong. It's going to always be that way. It'll always probably be the richest known suburb of Geelong, Newtown. It's a very good place to buy. However, what's going on at the moment, funny enough, is despite the city being, I'd say, in very much so an upturning market, the market in Newtown, and Newtown's median is about 1.1 to 1.2 million. The market at that rate isn't actually as hot as other markets in Geelong. So there's actually quite a bit in really, really good areas of Newtown. So this is just, look, I'm giving everyone some free juice here, but this area I've just screenshotted here of Newtown is actually a very good area to buy. So you can see Sacred Heart, Geelong College, you can see also, it's not labelled there near Queen's Road, but that's St Joseph's there. All those areas there, and you can see all the tennis courts in these backyards and everything. These are all excellent areas to buy. And if you're picking up anything around here that's good for around $1 million to 1.1, I mean, you're doing extremely well in this area. Like, it's not often that you'll pick anything up here for that price, but when the market here starts to move, it'll really move and rocket. It's one of the best suburbs long-term in all of Geelong. So, I mean, just keep that in mind. Like, this area of Newtown is very much so the old school wealthy area of Geelong, and believe it or not, there's a lot of people that own homes here that are like $2 million plus that own it completely outright, so they're generally very tightly held. However, we've just got, I'd almost call it like a little bit of a market anomaly at the moment, where you've got most of the rest of the city very hot and this small part that's actually a little bit slow to move on. And yes, maybe the economy is playing a part of that in Victoria, and maybe the insecurity maybe of interest rates is probably playing a part of that too. But if you're someone who, let's say, wants to buy probably one of the best long-term areas of Geelong, and you have a higher budget and you want a very good, quiet lifestyle, very good, safe neighbourhood, trees, good areas to walk in, good parks, good schools and all that kind of great area to buy. I mean, I had a person wanting to retire recently, and he was saying he wants to move Geelong for the lifestyle, and he said, you know, I'd love to be able to ride a bike. And I said, well, your best areas in that are probably, I mean, East Geelong, probably Newtown, and I'd say Drumcondra, Rippleside, all really good areas to buy. Those areas are all good, don't get me wrong, same as like Newtown, but for the opportunity, if you were to pick up something here, this will probably always be the most expensive suburb of Geelong. It's probably likely to, because there's just so much long-term wealth here. So that's probably I'd say, number one draft pick at the moment for Geelong. If you have any budget, definitely Newtown, and definitely in these sorts of locations. Without a doubt, Newtown's a great buy.